Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's Public Services Committee. The public are obviously welcome to attend the meeting by person or by virtual link. I'm not sure that we have anyone online, but we are poised and ready if they want to.
We have one person who said that they were going to join us, but they don't appear to have come in. So, no, all is good.
Lovely. In which case, we will proceed with our apologies for absence and substitutions. So Councillor Barnett is not able to be here this evening, so is substituted by Councillor Gibbs. So thank you for joining us tonight. We have to vote for that one. I propose
that we accept Councillor Barnett's apologies and that Councillor Gibbs be the substitute and ask for a second for those two things.
Those two things in one go. So then, give me the first bit. I asked for a vote on accepting both Steve Barnett not being here and Councillor Gibbs being his substitute.
I'll second that, Chair.
Lovely, thank you.
And now all in favour?
All in favour? Thank you, thank you. To receive the minutes of the last meeting held on the 5th of June. I hope everyone's had a chance to glance over those. Please accept for accuracy and then we vote on those as well. Yeah. All in favour to vote?
Agreed.
Oh, I propose the minutes. Forgive me, everyone. I
second.
ask for a second and all in favour. Thank you. Sorry about that. Lovely. Chairman's update in that case then. Fairly light from me directly, just to say that James Lawson from the hospital will be joining us at the next meeting in December.
Excellent.
They have their strategy meeting, I think, in November to the committee with a good update then. And an addition for this to this evening's agenda is Sam Ford, our first responder, who has very kindly come and offered to give us some thoughts and comments on the work that she does in the town, the brilliant work. So, Sam, I don't know if you'd like to offer some comments and give us some thoughts, and we'll take some questions afterwards.
Thank you for the invitation. You probably pleased to know I'm not here. No. Awareness is our big obstacle at the moment. There's lots of people that still don't know who we are and what we do. I'm the team lead for the East Grinstead Community First Responders, or CFRs, Community First Responders, is a bit of a mouthful. And I've got a team of 3 others. There's just 4 of us in the local area. It is a volunteer role, but it is a frontline volunteer role with the ambulance service. So people say, how do you call you out? We are hotline 999. If a call is deemed appropriate for us, then it's not just for the benefit of everyone in the room. Yeah. We have inside of our vehicles. We don't have any special privileges on the road, which is absolutely fine. I've seen kind of crazy things that people do when they're confronted with blue lights. I usually say if you see somebody with these kind of car plates on and potentially the red t-shirt, then either let us out of one-way systems and the like, which are a bit of a nightmare sometimes, because we're on our way to an emergency, or we're on our way home and we want to go to. Simple as that. In terms of what we do, so as I say, we are part of the 999 system. And we go to patients ranging in, my youngest has been 14 days old, all the way through to 104 years old, and anything in between. Cardiac arrest was the original concept for community first responders, so that we could get a defibrillator out to a patient sooner than an ambulance. The first 3 to 4 minutes in a cardiac arrest situation are the most important. Chances of getting an ambulance to a cardiac arrest in 3 to 4 minutes, it's highly unlikely. Our scope of practice has changed over the years in terms of, say, looking from paediatric through to geriatric, strokes, diabetic episodes, breathing difficulties. Those are sort of more life-threatening through to serious types of fallouts that we would have. We also do have some of the team that are falls trained as well. So we have chairs that we can help get patients on the floor because there is a condition that can be life-threatening if patients are what we call long lives, so they're lying on the floor for long periods of time. The benefit of getting people off the floor sooner rather than later, one, it's better for them. Two, they're more likely to be able to stay in their home because if they start to go into that long life category, they're going to have to be taken to hospital anyway. So it's not a good situation for the patient or the hospital services. We've got in October there is an event called We Start the Heart Day, and we're also trying to run some events during that. I did put a shout out on our Facebook group, and Steve's also promoted that as well. We haven't got a date in the diary with that. I was trying to get a feel for whether there was much interest. I'm just going to lock a date in, but it'd be really good then if that can be promoted out through the council forums as well. The more we can do for bystander and community intervention for cardiac arrest situations, the better, because as I say, we can't have an ambulance in every street corner just in case. And going back to 2015, when the Resuscitation Council updated all their guidelines, their big message was out of hospital cardiac arrest are a community problem, not an ambulance problem. So with that, trying to do some CPR awareness sessions. I've worked with Steve Morris, sort of, you know, Steve Morris, I've worked with him, we've done some kind of awareness sessions previously, but the more people we can get on those, so that know in the car park here we've got public access depot. Sometimes I hear people saying, what if I make it worse? If somebody needs a defibrillator, it doesn't get any worse. So just making sure that they feel confident and competent to use those.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. A question for me then, if people want to become a first responder, how do you get involved?
Okay, very good question. The start point really for that is to go to South East Coast Ambulance Service page and have a look. That is the official route. However, I would signpost people to our website and then have a chat with me and kind of get a feel for whether they think the role will be for them or not. Sometimes the recruitment process, some people, should we say, slip through the cracks, so they get to the training and then suddenly go, oh, crikey, I might have somebody die on me or go to a dead body. And that sounds like kind of maybe a silly response, but maybe sometimes the communication isn't there. So I'm happy to talk to anybody that is interested in doing it. One of the beauties of it is that it fits in around our lifestyles. So we have a commitment of 20 hours a week, but we could do that all in 1 week if we wanted to, if we were going on holiday for 2 or 3 weeks, or we can kind of spread it out, so it's kind of a rolling period. Most of the team work full time and they fit it in around full time life.
That's brilliant.
So is it 20 hours a week or a month?
A month, sorry, did I say week? Yeah, sorry. Full-time job.
I really would like to say, well, fabulous job I think you do, and I'm really grateful on behalf of first-hand use to. I particularly think it's a good idea that you're going around to groups, teaching them to use the defibrillator. Because a lot of people have a great fear of using it, whether they're going to get it right or whether they're, as you said, making it worse. So I think the fact that you go around groups, I belong to a bowling club and you're coming in a couple of weeks, I'm a member of your group.
Are you over at Chelwood?
I'm not, but it's Forest Row area.
Okay.
They're coming in a couple of weeks, but just to show members, and everybody there was really pleased, and I think it's a great service that you provide, and also the fact that you go around to teaching people, should it ever happen, hopefully you won't have to use it, but it's nice to know that you will be able to do so.
I mean, the thing is, they're called public access secrets for a good reason. They're safe to be in the public domain. You know, they're pretty much IDI approved, but sometimes people just want that extra. Well, what do I do? Between the call taker and the defib talking to you, you've got all of the information you need, but just having that little kind of, I've seen it in action, I've had a go to sort of see get a feel of what it's like using it on mannequins, that kind of thing.
Can I ask a naive question? So they're called public matters. are they really tangible equipment? So is there an age limit by which you can use them? Because I was wondering if not, we can go to schools and it depends.
Okay, so typically the ones that are in the public domain are banned. If you were in a situation where a juvenile did actually need it, then when you make the call, you'll be able to tell them how old the patient is and they'll be able to guide you through it, because there are still ways that you can use an adult defibrillator. One goes up here, one goes down here. The infant, you have one at the front, one at the back, and goes front to back. So they'll be able to talk you through that. Some of them have a little setting on. Ones in school should have paediatric pads, that kind of thing. But I've also did quite a few years ago now, but we're doing something similar this year through the ambulance service. I think it was Restart a Heart Day, so a number of years ago, so pre-pandemic. And I taught about 250 students at Town Cross School throughout the day. And some of them physically couldn't do CPR, they're too small. They couldn't do it on an adult. But empowering them to be able to tell an adult that physically could do it, but what to do. So that's something that we're doing. So we've already been invited back to one of the local brownie groups to, well, bring those brownies and guys. We're going to do an awareness session with those as well. And that will be very much a message, because you might have an able-bodied adult, but they don't know what to do. But to then empower a child to be able to say, I can guide you through what you need to do.
That is splendid, thank you.
One question. How do you access to the equipment?
Yes, great.
Okay. So some defibrillators are in unlocked cabinets or repurposed phone boxes, that kind of thing. Personally, I'm not a fan of that for two reasons, but obviously if they're unlocked, that's fine. If they're locked, then you phone 999. The reason why I prefer them to be in locked cabinets, one is if I get stolen. They do command quite a big price on websites. You want to make sure that it is there if and when it is needed. So having it in a locked cabinet. And the other thing is, if somebody in sort of the heat of the moment is all super enthusiastic, I know where the defib and I'm ready to do CPR, I'm just on an awareness session with Sam, we're ready to go and grab it, but forget to phone 999. So it just reality checks the process that little bit and makes sure that an ambulance is on its way, because you always want to make sure that, I mean, if I attend a patient, there's those going to be guys and girls with me turning up as well, so you've got 2/3 of the traffic light. But making sure that you've got all of that advanced care coming as well. They've got pictures of them, so you can't really get.
This year I've become involved in the condition atrial fibrillation, and I know that this town council is involved with stakeholders in providing screening for sort of prostate and diabetes and other conditions. And since I have been involved in it this year, it's very common, but it staggered me the amount of certainly men I've met that I know, my close friends, that have the condition and didn't know. So is there any screening program that we could, that is currently that maybe we could consider? Because obviously it's related to kind of what you do, but if people know, then
yeah, and it's a common issue for stroke as well.
Yeah.
So certainly with the ambulance service, they're reactive, they're not proactive. So you need kind of proactive services. So the answer is no. Would I support it? Heck yeah. So I haven't got any.
I'm just thinking for the future, maybe it could be a consideration for this town council to work with the stakeholders to provide a screening day once a year, because it's really staggered me the number of people that I know that didn't.
Yeah, no, quite. And I go to a number of patients, and you're checking their pulse rate, or the crew come and they put them up to ECG and say, "Oh, you've got any heart?" Never heard of it.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, good idea.
Lovely, thank you, Sam. I'm so grateful for you jumping in today. That is wonderful to our list of guests who will come on to shortly after I have received the members' declarations of interest. Has anyone got anything to declare? Tally, up to you. You can skip. If you wish to go, you're very welcome. Thank you again. No.
It'll be less than an hour, I should think.
So declarations of interest. I don't imagine. So, no, lovely. In which case. In which case, we move on to our brilliant guests for this evening. We shall start with Inspector Derrick. Thank you so much for joining us.
Wasn't expecting to go that quick. I mean, I had to leave because politicians are not supposed to next. Before I give my updates, I must say to everyone present, I'm really grateful for Julie's contribution to what she's done for us for such a long time. Unlike everyone at this table, whether they're friend or foe or solid seal or glad to say go, I don't know. She's joining me again at another. So, I'm resigning from East Grinstead. I'm joining you. Thank you, Julie, sincerely for what you've done for this council and for you. For the links you give us to the police, and I can honestly say we give more dedication for that link and partnership. So I'm really grateful for what you do for us. Thank you. So to give you some updates, I don't really like repeating updates that I give, and I can't cast my mind about what I gave 3 months ago. So the only thing that I am going to repeat is to tell you the type of police that are in East Grinstead daily, to keep it fresh in your mind. So obviously my neighbourhood policing teams are here daily, our divisional response teams are here daily because they answer emergency calls, and there's always a great one called in East Grinstead. And our force departments are here daily. They consist of our force firearms teams. They do directed patrol activities in East Grinstead that I set. For example, so we set a directed patrol activity for the drinkers at the toilets and blah, blah. The force firearms teams do those directed patrol activities for us. And I know that because the last time I saw them here. And then, and as I mentioned last time, our special enforcement units operate in East Grinstead every night because we have several people of interest to us that live here. We don't particularly cause you any harm, but they cause us harm from district, division and cross Sussex. So they're here at night as well. So when you see them or not, there are lots of police here. Our CID departments are here daily because you have several victims of fire harm, domestic abuse rates, and it is a lot. So there are lots of departments here whether you see them or not daily. I listed several jobs to speak about some good news for East Grinstead over the last few months. Some names I can mention, some I can't. If I mention a name, it's because the person's an adult and they've been convicted in the court, so they're.
Can I just remind you, Inspector, that we do record this and it does go up onto YouTube, so please be mindful about the names.
I mentioned something, it's because they've been convicted and named.
That's fine.
But maybe I won't anyway, so this month, a man, a person who lives in this area was seen by police sport officers causing significant antisocial behaviour using his car. They wrote crime reports, and this man was charged with several driving offences, and he was given an 11-month disqualified sentence, £300 fine, and 40 hours community service, and that all happened in East Grinstead, witnessed by police here. His name is Jack Chambers, but if you know him or not, he was convicted in the courts. There's been no reports for several weeks, and I don't know if you're getting reports to Julie or not, still for the street drinkers, for the cameras, the stuff that we did. So we're hoping the invested work we did around that area works, and they're either one, behaving themselves, two, the weather's turning and they're staying indoors more, which is a great time of the year for us as well, or three, they're populating other areas. A few months ago, both Julie and I and your MP Mins Davis, who's a bit more dedicated to East Grinstead these days because she's given up in Sussex and she's got East Grinstead in Watford, which is a bit of a split because we don't control it. We had several emails from Julie and around some robberies you've had in East Grinstead and the social media fight for the robberies. There's about 4 things So I'll concentrate on the first two robberies to start with. They were committed by a youth that I cannot name. He was caught committing them. He was also one of the youths that was responsible for raiding and macheting around. Now, whilst this has not been into a court, a significant amount of police work went into this youth and his family. I'm pleased to say we relocated him to Ireland. So that was not without significant investment, the police service, social care, and everyone's taken up this hand. He was causing disruption here, he was moving into robberies, he was one of your child offenders that cause antisocial behaviour on a day-by-day basis. So if I could have put him in the top few people of East Grinstead causing you most harm, I would put him in the top 3 people causing you most harm. He's now, so that was some good news for us. Definitely he's out of Sussex and he's out of East Grinstead. He committed 2 of those robberies, which he's currently bailed. One of the other robberies that we spoke about ended up with a man injured in South, and he cut himself in the stomach. And the 4th one, we never spoke, it's quite a significant robbery. It was a man robbed in his sports. But the good news around these messages is, one, the police are really involved in the investigation of them. 3 out of 4 we were able to detect and know who the offenders were, and the main moved up this area. So those are the good news part of that story. And the good news for me for East Grinstead is when something happens here, I know you're a small town, the community tend to give them up relatively quite well and really good. And those doesn't happen that easy in cities, and I've been looking at it, and it's really hard to just to disappear into big crowds. But I know all those 4 occasions we were able to identify locate suspects really quickly. Another piece of good work, a man was arrested for homophobic public disorder and crime against a member of the public. He's apprehended by PCSOs and he's been charged with those offences and waiting to go to court. The antisocial behaviour at McDonald's and the atrium reduced as far as we're concerned. We keep a very close eye on it, and we think there's been a significant reduction in that area since the investment of what we've done with the police and cameras. There's no more car meets at East Court, I'm told. Stopped. I don't know if you want to change that to so my cop say there's no more car meets at East Court due to the cameras. But let's just say that was one of my sergeant's feelings. He seems pretty sure it was under control. And finally, as I mentioned at the beginning, because we seem to forget them, whilst we see uniform cops and people in uniform really often, what we don't see is detectives in this town that work really hard with victims of serious crime, and it does exist in this town. There's some victims of some serious domestic abuse in this town, and there's some serious offenders in this town, and there's lots of effort that goes on ensuring they're protected, safeguarded, and the measures put around them so they're safeguarded is even better. And then even more serious, the people that are offending in this town live here, but they're offending elsewhere. We are acutely aware of them and we watch them. So there's lots of investment that goes in the area. Some of it you don't see, some of it you see. Some of it is good news. The best bit of good news on here for me tonight was that 15-year-old man that's been causing you lots of problems for about 18 months, and he's gone. So, and that was a lot of hard work on behalf of the officers and social care and his family and the relocation. His family decided on the relocation, but it was driven with us and social care and moving him out. So a lot of investment still. I always say, of course, when Julie calls, we never say no. That's just yet, Julie. See what I like for that message pass on. And I will say to my officers, because we're based in Haydenseed, and that's a big police station, and we've got another big police station in Burgess Hill. Actually, we don't work at Burgess Hill. No, not a lot of people know that as an MPT. Lots of our other officers do. So those 2 towns feel quite loved because they can see the cops coming and going. I always say we have to try harder with East Grinstead to all myself. So that's the message they're getting every day. So that's my quarterly updates. Matt, any questions?
Thank you. That's as ever a brilliant update. And we're always grateful. It's always I know there have been some email exchanges over the summer, and we're very grateful for the speedy response as well. So, as you say, good news and bad news, but brilliant.
Of course, thank you. Is there any information on motorbikes? That's the one thing with scooters, whatever. That's the one thing we're still experiencing, certainly down here at Eastport. I
The
can't say it's more than. We hear them rather than see them, so I can't really tell you exactly what it is. Yeah, but there's a lot of them still.
No, I haven't got an update for that. There's other areas in Mid Sussex that suffer with more. You'll be pleased to know, Judy, is the area you're going to. We're running an operation. But what I will say, Julie, is the operation we're running in Burgess Hill this month to do with social behaviour and bikes. Is I will ask the East Grinstead Sergeant, who is Doug Johnson, to replicate it in East Grinstead.
Thank you. Oh, Margaret, forgive me.
Thank you. I've had police issues are one of the biggest worries about our residents in the post box. So I've tried to sort of collate a few of the emails I've received last couple of weeks regarding police issues. And I believe the first one that I've had several of was the number of occasions where kids, young adults, riding motorbikes across the Sandgate East School. So you just, and the issue with reporting 101, it does take a time to get through. And when they've tried to remember numbers on bikes and things, it's been so long hanging on that the numbers have gone out of their mind. And it's difficult. You can't do an email or something on your phone because it takes, they've gone before that's, so getting through on the 101, it's causing people a problem. On that issue.
So the two points there, the ASB with the bikes, it will be an ongoing thing that police will have to fight for a generation. Because that's just society, what society looks like now, especially e-bikes, because that's how the world is just changing in the last 10 years in reference to those things. It happens in every town and every city in the United Kingdom. We do small operations with it. They generally don't cause high harm, as in, when I say high harm, I mean people being robbed, attacked, assaulted, people being burgled, where people are victims of domestic abuse. These are high harm things. What they are is a nuisance. And that is important to us in neighbourhood policing. We're doing an operation on it in Burgess Hill this month because it is significant there. And I will ask the sergeant to replicate it in these schools. The second point about 101, madam, I wish I could come with a solution for you. 101 is a national project. It was invented by the government and it's enforced on all 47 police forces. I am told, you can email into the 101 system.
Yes,
Don't ask me how to do it
that
because
is
I'm getting a little older in my years and I don't take it intentionally. But you can do it, but I appreciate it.
Okay. So if I could go on that one you've already covered, so that's good. The other issue is the visible presence of police in East Grinstead, and the fact that the police station, I'm being told here, it's open 10 to 2 on a Tuesday, and antisocial behaviour is on the increase, and they just feel that there's not enough police presence in the town.
Well, I mean, it's a matter for councillors and MPs and the Police and Crime Commission. They set the amount of police officers that are present in this county. Numbers wise and the police station wise, they went with austerity about 10 years ago. The front office is open here at certain times of the week. It's the same for Haywardstead. It's the same for Burgess Hill. The only police station I think that's open 20 hours, 24 hours a day, I don't quote me, I think it's only Brighton. And it's the only police station front office that's open for long periods of time. Every other police station is drawn to restrictions. That would have been done on surveys done before austerity took place to say how many people are walking into this police station a week.
Yes, and I think we've already talked to Kate before now, Police Crime Commissioner about.
Yeah, I mean, speak to her.
Yes, we have done.
3 councillors and what I can say, and what I do with my staff, I have 3 police teams that work from 7 AM to 11 PM 7 days a week. my instruction is to them is they have to try hard on these Grimsby every day. So they're here every day. There's not lots of them, so you may not see them because, unless it's stood in the centre of the town waving a red light, honestly, they could be good coming by in seconds. But there are lots of other police who don't see that.
I understand that. So the other point, that the last point that I've had several on, that the other day, the 3 youngsters trying to smash the clear plastic panels in a phone box in London Road in broad daylight, that they're just getting so brazen of doing anything at any time. It isn't just an evening thing. And, it is worrying people. I think they are genuinely concerned at the increase in violence and.
Yes, I will tell the East Grinstead Sergeant when he's in town, and I'll tell you to pay more attention to it. What I do have to say to you, because whilst these are isolated incidents, there are 12 districts in Sussex Police. Mid Sussex is one of those 12 districts. Only 2 districts in Sussex Police are in violent crime reduction this year from last year, and Mid Sussex is one of them. Mid Sussex is in a 2.5% violent crime reduction. The only other districts is Eastbourne. They're the only 2 in the whole of Sussex that are in violent crime reduction. So Mid Sussex is a really safe place to live. East Grinstead is part of that, and Sussex is only halfway of the league table of violence in the United Kingdom. So not only is Sussex a relatively safe place to live, Mid Sussex is probably the safest part of Sussex to live. But I appreciate your frustrations, madam, and we fight them.
I just wanted to voice some of the residents.
Of course.
So they're not here tonight, but they're at least at a voice.
And please feed back to them that when my cops and PCSOs are here, they're looking for those kids.
Thank you.
You're talking about a handful of kids. And if I could take 5 kids out of East Grinstead, 5 out of Burgess Hill, 5 out of Haywardsley, our antisocial behaviour dropped by business. If I could do.
Thank you.
I removed 1 from East Grinstead.
Okay.
Forgive me.
Can I just ask a question? So you mentioned that East Grinstead residents are very good at giving people up. And just today, there's been a lot of pictures over the local Facebook groups of probably the 3 youths throwing stones and bricks at people and their property. I was sort of watching the debate play out online about it's good to name and shame, you shouldn't be putting kids' pictures up. And I've had a few residents sort of say to me, if we see people with this picture of their number plate or we see people, should we post or not? I guess
I think if you're talking about children throwing stones at building the fence, there's nothing wrong with saying about it is the police. I can't comment on what you do and don't do on social media because it's a matter for you all. We always get into sticky grounds when we start taking pictures of children and posting them for various reasons. But there is nothing wrong with taking a photo of someone who's committing an offence and giving it to Clark, to me, and ensuring we identify them. Because you guarantee if it's the same 3 people you're talking about, we're going to know. And that photograph evidence is invaluable to us, especially if it's.
Tell me.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. There was a robbery. Do you have the updates on that? Or I'm thinking it might be one of those lads that you. The person they were on a motor. They ran the shop and took off with a couple of electric e-bikes from the shop on the back of the motorbike.
Goodness.
It could have been Surrey could have been involved with that. Surrey. Yeah, because it's at Delbridge, so it's a kind of
On the junction.
it's on the junction of
That's why it's not in Belgium. So that's possible it could be in Surrey.
Right.
It's not that kind of crime. It's not the offender who moved up to number 2 robberies he committed, and it wasn't. If you then around the shop and taking 2 bikes, that would be quite significant. So no, the people that I mentioned are not.
Let's look into.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for the presentation. So, the thing that I think the additional thing that I get I guess, is what I would call ASB in the home. And I get, generally it's quite elderly people, probably living alone. And they feel that residents around them, youth and so on. There's one instance down Newlands Court, Newlands Crescent. I've got another instance in Cotswold. And previously I've had one down in Turners Hill. So there's obviously, and it's people, we're talking about social housing units, or perhaps people who are owning their own properties but social housing units are nearby. And there does seem to be a sort of fear that you know, sort of when problems are raised. What would you advise? I mean, I tell them not to. I mean, it seems like, you know, things being pushed through letterboxes. So it's what you would call news.
Yeah, I mean, antisocial behaviour is a generic term for things that are done in public. Once we start going into private premises, the laws change quite significantly what you can and can't do. What kind of crimes you can and can't do.
These aren't in the home, but they're effectively whose perception of within the home.
And if it's
So, for example, one of the instances is an individual going out leaves the stereo playing high volume
from their house.
in the house. Right. So you can hear it in the neighbourhood.
Yeah, so someone playing loud noise in the house and people can hear it. So, yeah, you call it antisocial behaviour, it's antisocial behaviour, it's not nuisance. The council control that, please. Things, so antisocial behaviour means something really different from that to us. It's
Right.
things called, happens in public, usually it involves children. It existed when we were all teenagers, we just called it something different. Now it's labelled antisocial behaviour. Antisocial behaviour can start off, I mean, we're talking about it like it's a low level of crime. To give you an example of how antisocial behaviour can turn into something serious, the Pilkington inquiry, which was a death of two people in Leicestershire in about 2004, a mother murdered her severely disabled daughter and killed herself. That police investigation led to 10 years ongoing of antisocial behaviour being committed against this family. So whilst antisocial behaviour is perceived and talked about as if it's low level, we do not take it as low level. We take it, that's where we think, like, what's happening? What are the people like they're targeting? Are they elderly? Are they vulnerable, disabled? And that's how we start thinking. And then we start safeguarding them. Noise control is a different issue.
I think it's more than that. You know, so for instance, you know, sort of youths playing football against a car. You know, sort of the resident feeling you can't challenge it. No, but come out the house and challenge it.
All I can say, if anyone's doing something in public, if someone's booting a football, I'm going to damage the car, it's criminal damage, call the police, let us decide how it's happening. You know, if boys are bouncing a ball in a cul-de-sac.
I think the point that I'm making is that the residents feel that they're calling the police, you know, sort of that they're exposing themselves to the.
Well, if they call the police on 101, they can just, I'm in blah blah street and there's people doing something in the street, and I don't, you know, I'm not going to give my details, and I don't want my details passed on. So you don't have to name.
Yeah.
You can pass on information.
Forgive me.
Please tell them if going back to social behaviour, if they can see it from the house and if they feel scared, then contact us and let us visit them and talk to them about safety.
Thank you. Conscious of your time, we had one more question. Lee, I think you wanted a quick one.
Oh, yes. One of the things that when we're doing the speed watch, we encounter from time to time is two up on electric, and they seem to the same route, and they're not always, shall we say, their road sense seems to be a little bit less than average. If they're on if we put this on to you and we see it, would you be, because there's no identifying features, you know, we're only going by the same route. We haven't seen any number requirement.
Is this an e-scooter?
Yes, yes.
It's not that they don't need them. E-scooters.
Right. Yeah.
The law, the government has not wrapped a load of conditions around these dreadful things. I'm saying that because they weren't spoken about 6 years ago. Now they're baiting the neighbourhood police like the government haven't wrapped rules and conditions on it. That's the problem.
Weren't they only restricted if the trials are still going to certain cities and areas?
Yeah, they're not. If there was a law about their usage, I'd know it. We'd enforce it. But it causes us lots of issues. If they're going down a pavement at 30 miles an hour, which some of those things are capable of,
And they do.
and if you can record them identify them, I'd want to see it.
Okay, so it's fine.
So we can identify them. Because the consequence of that, if you hit someone at 30 miles an hour and you weigh 50, whatever, heavier, and you get an old person, you're probably in trouble. And we would want to stop.
Okay, so we'll make an offer.
That's lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, I'll leave you.
Yeah, thank you. Just to say, vote, thanks as always, Inspector Derrick. Thank you so much for coming in to give, a very punchy, frank, upfront report as always. Thank you for your approach to the town clerk. The relationship this town council has always had with Sussex Police has been fantastic. And you've raised that bar even more each time you come. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And I hope you have a peaceful evening. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Leo, Frank, our next guests who are.
It's a bit late now.
Would you mind coming up to the table so we can get you on our
Have a seat.
Zoom meeting? If I can
There are a
squeeze
couple
you
of them.
out.
They're warmed
I'd
up.
be very grateful.
Inspector has warmed them up for you.
Cheers.
So we have a lovely presentation ahead of us, so it'll be up on the screen. Ever so conscious that we've had a surprise extra presentation already, so we'll try and keep this one to 5 minutes, so we've got plenty of time for questions afterwards.
This is my stand.
As you wish.
I'll sit, please. Okay.
Can you just make sure you've got a lovely, lovely, nice deep voice, Leo, which is great. The microphone's up here, so please make sure you're projecting in this direction.
Is that the right way to say can I roll? I'll do my best. Thanks very much. It's started.
Yes.
Oh, okay, there's a brief little presentation here to give you an overview as to what we do. There's both me and Frank and two other people who are involved. And hopefully we might get one or two recruits tonight, as we will see. But what I've done is I've laid out a few slides showing how we got off the ground, what's involved, and there's probably a little bit more to Community Speed Watch because, like Sam, we also chip into the town as well. So, so what we want to do is to give you an insight, just a little bit behind the scenes, because it's not all that we say stand on the street corner with, what do they call them, Frank?
Speed detection device. The police get very irate with all the guns.
The implement with me if you wanted to pass it round. Sorry.
No.
This is the said implement here that people fear and dread. You see somebody standing at the side of the door wearing a costume that says this on the back. So, if we can, so here's a little bit of the background here, just as, sorry. So, a few steps that have led to becoming involved with the Community Speed Watch, and really we took it on board from members of the local action team who were concerned and are concerned, as I was saying to this factory, over how people use the roads and speeds that they drive. Please do. So when we raised it, the police invited us to have a little bit of chat, and we accepted through Frank's good auspices to operate the local Community Speed Watch. And originally there were 7 members, and COVID has, shall we say, affected the group. And we took our training here at Eastport on September 13th. So we have been hanging around the town for some time. And here's a few little bit of difficulties that we went through originally. But eventually we got to a point where our risk assessment was accepted and the whole thing basically took off from that point onwards. It was a little bit fraught, as Frank was saying, in getting, shall we say, the information, people, abilities, you name it, they wanted the details of it. So we eventually got everything out and away we went. Thanks to them. Now, Frank has done more on this than I have. So if you wanted to highlight a few things here, Frank, I'm very welcome.
Okay, well, the SSRP, as it says, is a collaboration between police and fire service and highways department and national highways. But we are responsible and for the speed watch with Sussex Police. And the other areas, national highways, will get involved, as the next slide will probably show, they'll get involved on things if Sussex Police and the SSRP in particular, on the safety angle, of actually trying to look at different road work. Networks, typically Inverhorn Lane is a typical one, with the changes in the chicane probably about 6-7 years ago, it's now, where they would have changed things, recommendations to try and reduce speed. What that's been successful is another matter.
Thanks, Julie.
Yes, the excessive speed is the one that we're concerned with in the community speed watch. Although there has been things intimated that the police might want us to report on other aspects when we see it. We can actually do it. It is quite difficult, believe it or not, when you try to do speed watch. You've got quite a few things you've got to deal with. You've got the car coming at you, maybe at 50 miles an hour in 30-mile-an-hour limit. And you've got to take the various things. You've got to take the registration plate. You've got to take the make. They like to know what the model, if possible, and the colour. The colour is another issue. Very simple, but these days cars have a multitude of colours. Reds with white rooms and pink and green and all different colours.
And an additional item as well that the police like to know is, can we identify the driver? So amongst all this, you've got to try and take note of who's driving the vehicle. Thanks, Julie. Now, the process, here's a little bit of the process. This will illustrate basically how we set up a monitoring session. So we have to alert the police because they need to know what we're doing. One of the primary aspects of this is we need to be insured. And we're only insured from when we put the details in and they know we're in operation. If you can do it, please. Again, we have to refrain from using what is commonly referred to colloquially as a speed gun, because we can't use the word gun anywhere because it stimulates a particular response we don't want. Okay, Julie, thanks. And here is how we get confirmation of. An interesting thing here is that in the first bullet point there, we're not on our own. Surprisingly, there are quite a few in the area. So the police do get quite a reliable and a good input of information for their statistical aspects of the roads around East Grinstead and locally.
In terms of other groups, there are ones at Oxthorne, Surrey's Hill, Crawley Down. There's a bit of a gap at Felbridge at the moment. I have seen that the Felbridge Council have been trying to set up a new group. I don't know whether they've been successful. Nobody knows anything about that.
So we've had a ban down.
Right, that would police rather than the community speed watch. with volunteers.
Okay, thanks, John. Those of you who need to know, like to know, what people can do in terms of speeds locally, is little Sam.
So the 20 miles an hour recorded at 53, that was in the centre of town.
That is not being sprinted.
Oh, right.
It's
Just something.
obviously the second one is, the difference on those speeds, it's the first speed which is formed by us, and the second speed which is formed by the speedification device, when that was, about 9 months ago, I think.
But generally, when we go on an event, what we do get reasonably regularly in a high percentage on 30-mile-an-hour roads are vehicles, driving vehicles 40, just under 50 miles an hour on local roads. And that is reasonably regular. Motorcycles we have a problem with, because motorcycles have a hinged rear plate. As they approach us, they can go any speed they like, because they flip the plate up and we can't see it.
The other problem is, rates as well,
Yeah.
which isn't an offence in itself. No motorbikes, obviously for cars, you'll see in particular the rear plate, they tend to leave that dirty, I think, on purpose, because they think the ANPR camera see that. When we're there, we can see the front end of it. So, the vehicle, obviously, I've even got time to record it.
And here's where Frank takes great delight in sorting the consequences out. The educational letters, they are quite abrupt in their style. You can't miss the message there. And
In Sussex, there are different ways of operating community speed watch around the country. But in Sussex, there are two warning letters which are sent out by Operation Crackdown. And that whole is held in the database for 12 months. Now, there's a caveat that the police report, that there's 94% compliance. So we don't really offend after the first letter. There's a big caveat in that, as far as I'm concerned. That only means that they have only not been offended, or we have not been out there. Vice versa. And then it's 94% compliance. And we do see, we don't make another vehicles again, we've got too many of them to see. But you get a feel that we should have saw that 3 months ago, 2 months. And we're still speaking.
so because we're not out there, we can't contribute. So I'm pleased you with it. But it does escalate and it does become a little bit more serious. The information here indicates. And, we do get feedback when they do take action on these two caveats. And it's a little bit encouraging to say, well, some reward for our endeavours. But generally, driving has to be pretty reckless, lack of due consideration when these chaps get involved. Thank you.
We just a little, I think we're 10 slides in, 10 still to go. Ever so consciously want to make sure that we have time for questions. So if you don't mind, we might just speed up ever so slightly with that.
Now here we can get asked to do an additional to the community speed watches back in it. And we have been involved with this recently. Project anyway. I think that's very explicit there to move on to the next one, please. Now we do have regular conferences and we do meet colleagues in different parts. And here's a sample of the people who present the information based on statistics, the update of what we have to do and changes to our modus operandi. And here's some of the research report findings that they do present as part of their conference. Okay, and the bottom one there is where Frank was mentioning there about we do get asked about changes to the road or the layout. And here's a little bit of an insight why people actually take on becoming a volunteer. Okay. And one thing that happens from time to time is in the bottom bullet point here, people actually do stop to thank us for our endeavours. And the last one, I even remember the registration line. Yes, there were quite.
One of the things which does affect us is the weather. We're not supposed to be going out in like earlier today, which is really here. We came back and we ran the road. Because it's not pre-booked. Years and years ago, it was all ad hoc. You could just walk out onto the road. I wasn't doing it then. I don't know whether I had to do book in a particular place. I don't think so. You could actually just go out and start doing it. You can't do that anymore. It's actually an audit truck, which is protected from our as well as the members of the public and the drivers.
The bottom point is we do get this from time to time. The language seems to be alien in terms of like in English, but we seem to be able to work out the general meaning of what it's saying. And they do actually stop to remonstrate.
I think the interesting thing about the ones who stop are not the ones who are speaking. They tend to pull up and start questioning the validity of what's being questioning the law and saying you're not allowed to do that, it's against the law. And then they drive, or get the others to drive straight past, then they stop 100 yards, come back on the other side, pull in, and then do the same thing. But it's quite interesting. The only ones who do that are the ones who aren't speaking, so we haven't taken note of them, we didn't know what the car was anyway.
The first bullet point there, in terms of taking our photos, it was mentioned, I think, by Councillor Belzy with regard to social media. We really don't want to appear on social media, shape or form, but people actually drive past and up with the mobile phone
And drive with one hand.
Yeah.
While they're doing it, and looking at us. They're not looking at the road.
Okay, thanks. The ones we've approached some schools, see if they wanted to participate, and they're still thinking about it. And the last bullet point applies to anybody in the room who wants to join. I've got pen and paper here, and please give me your name as you leave. I think that's it, actually. Yeah, that's it.
Wonderful, thank you. It was really, really insightful, and obviously your time and dedication is very much appreciated. I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments on your presentation, Councillor Gibson.
How often do the police come out? I noticed that on the Crawley Hampton Hill. They're pretty well managing to get a local policeman out and actually issue a proper ticket.
I think Frank's the best one to answer this one. I think he's burning.
Talk about the police themselves. Yes, very, very rarely do they come out. Last point, really. We rarely see the local police in units. We had a sergeant who really retired from Haverstead, who came out about 4 years ago. It's the last time we've seen anybody. And my contact in the police, Danny Shorey, with the SSRP. We keep saying, I'm not contacting the local police coordinator, which we had quite a lot with Derek earlier, just to say, well, who is it then? And he said, just contact them. So we still I know to actually ask something. What used to happen, we used to have PCSO, who was very good about 2 years ago, who came out 3 or 4 times a year with us. She then moved on to Crawley, and since then, it's been very, very hot. It is a useful exercise. By then just being with us, that gives us more confidence and probably stops a bit of the abuse. It still went on when this PCSO was in. It's just swearing at us and her at the same time.
I think she took an appropriate course of action from the number plate. Rex has been out with us.
Yeah. What I would say is that, yeah, I've joined you guys a few years ago, so I know how dedicated you are and what a professional job that you do. So thank you for that. I echo the chairman's comment. But also, I'd like to make the point to councillors that you've been doing this for some years. We also work very closely with the town council historically, you know, with the speed indicator devices, the SIDS, and with Alice and with Julie, and monitoring data and the feedback and just that collaboration. So, you know, we're very lucky in East Grinstead to have you guys and this organisation to key in, because, you know, you're a key stakeholder in what is a safety campaign, and you know, I know that, and I know you work closely with, you know, Dave Derrick and his team. So, you know, thank you for that.
Thanks.
Town Mayor.
So, thank you. Who do I start with the first three?
No.
Sorry.
You talk about schools.
Yes.
Are you talking about 20 mile an hour zones in the school areas? Is that what were you referring to?
We can do 20. I mean, we can monitor 20 to 40. That is out in agreement. You can only do 20, 30 or 40, you can't do the 50s and there's some more that's not out there, but we can do it. To be honest, a couple of the local schools, the primary schools, we thought were very interested. We got completely blank by the head.
I went to see a couple of head teachers, associated with schools that we thought would benefit from some form of collaboration in terms of managing vehicle streets, etc. And as I said to you earlier, they were still thinking.
Lovely.
The other question?
So yeah, it's just how many locations are there in East Grinstead that you can actually physically do it?
I'm not going to answer that.
Is that at a certain distance?
There is. It's such a long process at the moment. I've got one which I put in March from the residents. Went to a couple of meetings with the residents and big equipment actually. And we put the application in December. We're still waiting for the risk assessment. The big block we have is there's one police officer who is my contact there, sure, in the SSRP. He is the only person authorised by Sussex Police to risk assess all the sites. And bear in mind that there's 60 groups, and all the time we're having to re-look at the sites that we've got more than one. Because you get a number of parked cars, permanent parked cars. One of the things like the neighbourhood parking areas, which send people park there, so you can't do it anyway. You need a fairly good clear line of sight. Not for this to operate anyway. So that is an issue really. But it's the drawback at the moment. We keep having to go places that we want to change things, we need to change things. We've got a lot of redundant sites. We just cannot go there. And we've got those new ones all the time.
They just need to do an audit in the town, full audit of the town applications, and then it's done.
Anybody, you know, talked to me about this before, you know, Stephen, that any resident will contact in with you and say, I've got speeding problems, etc. And then we can get involved. Sometimes it will be that I could say there's no point in requesting that to the police because I'm shopping. That's one of the problems we have. But a number of times we're doing things in a certain mode, and a member of the public come along and say, don't do it here, do it around here, do it outside my house. We can't, so we can't do it. The main blockage at the moment is
Lack of resource.
personnel, personnel, to come up to East Grinstead and risk assess the sites, of which I've got about 6 or 7 sitting there waiting for them to do so.
Chair, sorry, is there anything that we can do about? Is there any
I'm
sort of
sure we can
assistance
do.
or help?
Yes, we will, we'll follow up on that afterwards, and I'm sure we can put in a request after this revisited. Thank you, I think that brings this bit to a close. Richard.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming in. A pleasure to have you at the table, and you know, again, all the work you do. You know, we see you out and about, but a lot of the work, the time we don't. But you're very dedicated, and you're greatly appreciated. So carry on the great work. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
I see you feel free to stay if you like, otherwise slump you away if you.
Double you, double.
That moves us on to the next point, which is our community team report. Alice is going to give us a quick run through shortly. I just wanted to note that we are all on track for the opening of the youth club in September, which I know is today. Do they? Oh, it's today. I was going to say, I thought it was next week, but you're absolutely right. It's today. So congratulations. It's brilliant news. In which case, over to Alice for any further updates.
Cool. Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to start with apologising for being late. I have a very good reason. I was at the youth club. So I was there helping register the young people, making sure we get all of their details before the parents go and leave them to have lots of fun. And we had 19 young people, which is just so exciting, absolutely fantastic. We were expecting 7 to 9 maybe. So we had 19 through the door, and they were all there early and eager and really excited.
What was the age span?
It's 10 to 13. Yeah, it's every Thursday from this evening, 6:30 to 8:30, 10 to 13-year-olds. We're doing it from age groups rather than year groups to kind of not be associated with school, and to help that transition from primary school to secondary school. So it is kind of school focused in that age group. Most of them did seem to be on the younger side of the 10 and 11-year-olds, but we'll see. And yeah, it's free, and they get free tuck and from Dunnings Mill at the moment. Yeah, and they were all ready to have lots of fun and games when I left to come here. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. We've got our 2 paid youth workers funded from the town council, as you know, and we had 3 extra parents there, which was brilliant. So that's part of the kind of the 8 parent volunteers that are on our roster to come and help. And I was worried that we'd have more adults than children, and then all the young people turned up. So yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to find out. It finishes at 8:30. Can't wait to find out how it all went. Yeah, so that's hopefully they will come back next week and it all carries on really well. But I will update you again at the next committee meeting. So just carrying on with the youth club then, our youth coordinator Ellie has done a great job in securing a £3,000 grant as well to go towards the youth club from Mid Sussex Partnership and Community Development Subgroup. So that'll go towards a new storage unit in the car park, which will be fantastic for all of the equipment and games and crafts and everything that we're getting as well for the youth club. Yeah, so that's the youth club getting off to a great start. Moving on then, I'm just going to keep it really brief. So SIDS update, unfortunately I have put here that we should have a timescale available by this meeting on the installation date. I'm still chasing for that. There seemed to be a bit of a lead time issue with Balfour Beatty and getting the work actually booked in, but we are in their pipeline. We're just waiting a little bit more. So as soon as I have any more information, I can update you, Chair, and let you know. But yeah, I'll be chasing that again.
Do we have any timeline in mind? We're just waiting at this stage.
We're just waiting at this stage. Yeah, it's
all the new clerk stuff.
Yeah, that office. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah, and then as soon as that happens, I mean, it's only kind of a 2-day work schedule, so we're hoping they can fit it in between other things. And then as soon as that happens, we can get the SIDS up, and then we'll start getting more data, which I'll bring to the committee as well. Sunnyside Barn is, as you know, where our youth club is taking place. We're also got our regular hirers in there. At the moment, we've got 7 weekly sessions and 2 monthly regular sessions as well. And most of them have inquired about continuing on into 2025, which is great. We've got ad hoc birthday parties, meetings, baby showers, all sorts of events happening as well. But we still need to continue to grow that capacity and get it as full as possible. So please continue spreading the word. Farmers market was a bit quiet over August, as to be expected, with everyone on holidays. We've still got our usual people there: fish, cheese, coffee, bakery, falafel and flower stall over the summer until she has no more flowers left. And we're still going out to try and get more stall holders as well. Our community desk, we kind of settled into our new area in the library, turn left and we're there. And people are finding us, and it was a bit quiet when we first moved. People thought we'd left altogether. We're still there and people are finding us. So yeah, the inquiries keep coming, and yeah, it's been quite good in terms of just getting out lots of information. People who've moved, who want to know what's going on in town. We've got a great list of all the different clubs, classes and activities for adults and for children. You know, bus timetables, tourist information, it's all there. So yeah, tell people to come and see us. We're happy to speak to everyone. That was a quick overview. If anyone's got any questions.
Yeah, forgive me, just one question. I'm sure you've answered it previously, but I can't remember. There's 19 young people.
For the youth club tonight,
Yeah, amazing. What's the limit?
Well, we're going to have a discussion about that tomorrow. It's a 1 to 10 ratio at that age group. So we've got 2 paid youth workers, so that takes us to 20. But then we've also got the parent volunteers as well. So we need to booster our rota to make sure we have got enough volunteers. And yeah, we're going to have a bit of a chat about that tomorrow, because we were not expecting quite so many people, because if we have even more people next week, yeah, we need to be very clear about that, so we don't have too many people, and we don't want any young people not able to come in and their parents are gone. And so we're going to manage that very carefully and have that all ready for next week. And if there's any messages that need to go out to parents, we'll let everyone know as well.
Just one quick question. Are we meeting our projection on income
for Sunnyside Barn? We're not at the moment. I think it was set rather high to begin with, but it is increasing. And I think, do you want me to do figures?
No, I think what we'll just say is that we have been watching this, and it was a very slow start with regards to getting us going with Sunnyside. But as Alice has said, it is continuing to grow. We're getting more and more and more. We're not going to make the target this year for the budget. It is going to be suggested at the moment, the discussions around the preliminary discussions around the budget will be to reduce the income target next year. But we fully expect it will continue to grow, and it hopefully will get back to where we want it to. But it might take us a couple of years or so.
I think we were slightly over optimistic.
I think we're very hopeful that the community is going to come in and really take it and use it. Now, the one thing that we have done through this committee is decided to set up a youth club there. So we've taken it away from the public club and the community one night.
That's great.
So there's no money for that coming in, but we have established something that's really good. If somebody had come forward and put a commercial youth club in there, that would be an income. So, you know, it's one of those things, and we're always going to have to bear that in mind, I think. But I still have every confidence it will continue to grow. The number of parties, as Alice said, baby showers, and goodness knows what. The community are using it. I was going to ask Alice, do we have any idea of the areas of the town the youngsters are coming from?
For the youth club, we will be analysing all the registration forms to check that, because I'm very interested in finding that out.
Whether or not
from initial discussion, there is actually a wider spread than just Sunnyside.
And that's great. That's great. But obviously, what we really want to see is Dunnings really embracing it for their community.
No, they are. They absolutely are. Yeah, brilliant. The majority of our hirers as well are all from Sunnyside area.
Interesting.
Thanks. I just want to say, congratulations on this fantastic news with the youth club. Really, since the demise of the Wallace Centre sort of 10 years ago, we tried different ventures through the county and through other things, and this is a great initiative. It also shows, you know, one of the legacies of the town clerk's legacy. She's got many, you know, in the 13 years that she's been here, but this is one of them, and you know, yet another project delivered. You know, with Sunnyside Barn and backing and promoting your role and the events and the continuing success of that, which you and the team have done. Just want to mention the classic car event again, which was a sensational day, early September. Absolutely, the feedback was just fantastic. But underpinning, you know, all the events you're doing has seen a great increase in the social media presence, you know, particularly successfully, some great campaigns, some really good timing, some really good promo going on around, a lot of shares and you know, and that's led by you and the team as well. So, you know, from a year ago to now, that's fantastic. And that in itself is getting the message out and in making the events more and more successful. So, you know, well done. Keep up great work.
Thank you very much.
Lovely. In which case we will move on to agenda item 8, which is the messages of hope. I am sure everyone's had a good read of the report, which outlines the intentions, the plans that are put forward. We've not had any direct contact with the deceased family regarding these proposals. So although we have tried to reach out, as I understand. So we're very much here to discuss some of the ideas that are floated here, to think about how we might want to take this forward on social media and the website and other aspects. So it would be helpful, I think, to get people's views and discuss the ideas that have been outlined here, to see what people think about the proposed signs and the designs and things. And then we'll approach the appropriate permissions and other such aspects that are required to take this forward. I don't know if anyone has any opening comments. I mean, I guess to kick off, I think it's a really positive initiative from what is obviously a very distressing and desperately upsetting set of circumstances. I think it's a huge testament to the town clerk and those involved to have come up with this idea of message of hope. I think I do hope that if the family is listening and those involved, I do hope that they are keen to get involved and have some input in that. I think that would be fruitful. So do reach out. I think as much input as possible would be brilliant in this amazing initiative. So thank you again. I don't know if anyone wants to share any thoughts or remarks.
No, I mean, it's such a difficult subject.
I know.
You know, it's just respecting and trying to get the agreement of the family. It's so important.
To get the tone right, be sensitive. Yeah, I agree.
It's, you know, even a week ago I was driving through and there were still more people.
I came over just this evening.
So it's not something, this one has gone on for considerable time.
Quite right.
Just very difficult.
It's very difficult. Councillor Gibbon.
Thank you. Yeah, echoing Councillor Betts' point really. It's a difficult one to crack on with because it's so sensitive. Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. It would be regretful if we couldn't come up with some kind of collaboration because I've had people mention it to me before it came to this agenda. I mean, yeah, it'll take a lot of thought.
I think so.
And from a practical aspect, it might make all the difference to someone who's in the future who's having a struggle and maybe thinking along the same lines, and then, you know, just a little quote like the ones on these examples might make a difference.
Yeah.
So I would fully support it in principle.
Beautiful. That's lovely.
Councillor Hughes.
Councillor Hughes.
So I agree with everything that's been said. I think from my perspective, it feels, given mental health crisis, given that we've got men's groups, we've got a lot of support groups, and I think the recent event has just demonstrated how much support is needed in the town. I feel personally we need to make it more than just about the latest individual. You know, I think the report talks about 4. You know, I'm sure we've had lots of other attempted or threats to life in the town.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it absolutely feels bigger. And trying to make it as inclusive and positive rather than about an individual, because then it gets very personal. So I just wonder whether it's a discussion piece that we bring in other parties that are trying to provide support and guidance and encouragement.
I think that's a super idea. And actually, we want to make sure that we can reach out to as many people as possible. And we are lucky to have some real resource in the town that we could pull on. I mean, I'm sure they will speak to our new clerk in good time, but perhaps would come and speak to us as well and talk about solutions. Definitely agree with that. Any other thoughts? Town Mayor, forgive me.
Oh, so, thank you, Chair. No, what's the history? There is a Samaritan sign already there. It's very small.
Yeah.
Why is that? Does everybody know why it's so small?
Yep. Well, I don't know why it's so small, but I know why it went there. So going back about 10 years ago, perhaps a bit longer actually, probably about 12 years ago, a young man did lose his life. And this town council started the campaign with county council about increasing the height of the bridge parapet. At the time, if you remember, it was fairly hip height, fairly waist height for most people. And although it was quite wide, we've seen a lot of youngsters, horse players over across it. And despite somebody who has intentions, we were very, very concerned about somebody going over by accident. It's all tragic. So after a lot of lobbying, the county agreed. It was a lot, as Councillor Belty well remembers. There was a lot of lobbying. There were a lot of very heated conversations. But the county council did increase them, and they agreed to put some signs up for the Samaritans, and those were the signs that were then put there, and that was it. It wasn't discussed. It wasn't whether you can get bigger ones or not. I don't know, but those were the ones that were put there, and it was done by the principal community officer at the time. It was Mr. Rhodes Kubiak, who was the officer in charge of that. So I remember that happening at the time. And then obviously we've gone forward on from there. So the idea very much, and picking up Councillor Hughes' comment, yes, this is not about just involving one family at all. I am mindful, I'm aware that families and friends of other youngsters, young, so you're also talking not necessarily teenage age, but people who have lost their lives there. They've got opinions, they've got thoughts, they've got views, and whilst it's very difficult to put the spindles out to actually bring in those particular families, what we're trying to do is we do want to include people that we can. What we're trying to do is we're talking with various different people who are putting in input with regards to the messages being right for who we're trying to reach. And I think it says in the report, one of the people that we are talking to is a young man who has had his own problems, his own demons, and he's coming through the other side. And he sent in some wonderful suggestions, really, really good. And it was from them that we thought, oh, actually take it a bit further, look a bit further, and see what we can do. So we're now working on those. We've got a street artist working on some. We've got a graphic designer working on them. They are giving some of their time and talents free. The wonderful sign company have agreed to produce these for free, which is marvellous. So we're going to be working with all of those with regards to saying, what can we do? Now, at the moment, if you cross the bridge, it is completely covered in signs. That's not going to be allowed to stay. West Sussex have been quite clear with us. They haven't taken them down yet. They should speak with the family, but they are to come down. What we're looking to do is we have to get approval from West Sussex to put one or two much larger. The Samaritan signs will stay, they are part and parcel of, but some more of these more affirmative or thought-provoking signs, which, as you say, might make a difference to somebody if they were to read them. So, but we also, and what we really wanted, as well as committee's blessing, to go ahead and do that part of the project, and we may have to get planning permission. I don't know yet. That will be going forward, and that will be with Ellie, who's working on that, and then possibly Alice be involved before Sam arrives. We're going to take that forward and see what we can do. But what I would really like to have is some ideas of where else in town we can put some of these very positive messages. One of the things that rang a bell with me, a few years ago, we had a little spate of graffiti in the town. And along London Road, there are some power boxes and some telegraph poles, and there'd been some graffiti from youngsters. And it was little things on there which were you matter and love yourself. And although we had to take them down because they were very painted graffiti, which obviously we have to remove for West Sussex, we did leave them a little while because we could actually that's a really lovely message. And I guess it was thinking on those and then seeing what was put up on the bridge after this most recent tragedy. It kind of got the brain cells thinking there has to be something we can do. And it's not just about the key pressure points, it's other places in the town that maybe it can make people think and maybe reach out for some help if that's what they need. So definitely working with organisations.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant idea. In which case, I think we should, if everyone is in agreement, I propose that we support the paper as outlined, the idea and principle to push forward with the Messages of Hope project, to reach out to other groups to take their thoughts and counsel. So yes, I propose that.
I'll second that.
Second that, lovely. We have to take that forward. Let me just check I've covered everything off. Yes, all in favour.
That's carried.
Wonderful, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes, thank you.
We'd like to thank Mr. Byrne for voting as well.
Oh, I'm very grateful.
Very good. Yeah. Like it.
Right, a couple of final. Oh, forgive
Can I
me.
just ask on that?
Yes.
I know that there's Samaritans actually have a phone box in Beachy Head.
Yes, they do.
I just wondered, I guess you can't have phone boxes on every one of these bridges and all the rest of it, but there does seem to be an argument that this is being targeted. I mean, there was, where I grew up in Scarborough, there was a very similar bridge.
Yes.
Which became known for it. And once these things become known,
unfortunately, that's the case here.
More and more, it's a place that people will go to.
That's one of the things we've passed on to West Sussex, because it wouldn't be for us to place anything on the bridge. So that is something, it's West Sussex Bridge. So if they wanted, but there's one of the things that we've passed on to them to say, would they consider putting in a phone which either went directly to the Samaritans or another mental health 24 hours service. The Samaritans is the obvious one, so I would please urge you to take it up with your county officers. Is there anything they can do? Again, if they wanted to come back and talk to the town council, if it wasn't something that would be funded and they were looking for funding, well, I'm sure this committee would help to look, but it would have to be a West Sussex project because it's their bridge.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. In which case, just two final points on here from me. We've sort of lightly touched on point 9, which is defibrillators. Just to note that the changes in the people and the list of registered defibs are in the town. It's only the ones that are looked at by the East Grinstead defibrillators or EGTC that are paid for by this council. We have today had an exchange of emails with the group who've requested that the fund, when it has sufficient reserves, be used to replace or provide whole units. The committee are to be asked in December, forgive me, if they will approve this. So just a point for noting today, it was too late for inclusion in the agenda to be included in the decision today. So just so you're all aware, defibs are going to be back on the agenda for this our December meeting. Consultations, I think we sort of briefly covered these as well. We've had a round of consultations recently. Thank you to everyone who's inputted. We've had off-street parking, Gatwick 7 runway, and we've had 3 further Mid Sussex District Council consultations. We've all had consultation groups. They've all been submitted. Thank you to the clerk for putting all of those in. Just to note, the only outstanding consultation is going to planning on Monday, as it is the response to the National Planning Policy Framework. That's it on the formal agenda. I guess before we bring the meeting to a close, we do have to note that this is our much beloved town clerk's last committee meeting, 13 years. Before we all sat down, we started to try and add up the number of meetings. We said formal meetings somewhere in the realms of 50 meetings a year, 13 years, plus all the other ones. So huge dedication, huge amounts of time. We are going to miss her brilliant work ethic, her wonderful, wonderful charm and expertise across all these wonderful matters that come across the plate. I know she has given an enormous amount of service, and the Burgess Hill are definitely to have you. So absolutely, congratulations, Town Clerk. We shall miss you. And with that, I bring this meeting to a close. Oh,